JP Switch Mania.
Hello, Switch Maniacs, and welcome to the first ever video review from JP's Switch Mania. Today we're taking a look at Spirit of the North, a breathtakingly beautiful 3D puzzle platforming adventure. Players assume the role of an intrepid red fox who gets caught up in the struggle to save his habitat from an ominous red energy permeating the environment. After a short introductory level where players learn the history of the game's world through the effective use of wordless, atmospheric storytelling, a fox spirit grants our hero its power, and off we set to save the world. And what a wonderful world it is. The main attraction of Spirit of the North is its sheer attractiveness. The expansive environments, including majestic mountainsides, rolling hills, and lush forests, just to name a few, are lavishly rendered in breathtaking detail. Cresting a hill to see a green field leading to a serene riverbank is always an amazing sight to behold. These moments of beauty provide compelling exclamation points throughout the experience that are very nearly powerful enough to even out the smaller, nagging elements of the game that conspire to hold it back. Because it's all well and good for a game to have breathtaking views and gorgeously rendered environments, but that can only take a game so far. Spirit of the North is a fantastic game for sightseeing, sure, but it often gets in the way of the game having anything else interesting to do. Most of the gameplay is about wandering through the wilderness, searching for different areas where you can engage in 3D platforming puzzles before moving to the next area or chapter. While the puzzles are generally well constructed and engaging, the unfortunate fact remains that most of the time the game feels more like a walking simulator than a puzzle game. To the game's credit, the world feels huge. By the time the credits roll, it feels like the fox has covered an enormous distance. But on the flip side, the game often feels like all you're doing is crossing enormous distances. I don't know if making the game world smaller would have been a net positive or negative for the experience, but I can say that roaming around huge open fields is fun for a while, but eventually there needs to be something in those fields for it to feel satisfying. You can sprint for short distances to make things go a little faster, but the fox runs out of breath and stops before you've really covered much ground. The good news is the game does fill in its expansive world with an ongoing side quest where you must find magic staves in the bodies of deceased priests and then reunite the two. Many of these involve the same kind of quality puzzle design found in the main progression puzzles, but some are simply fetch quests. But it does make some headway into making the game feel less empty and offers a more tangible reward for players who need more than the spirit of adventure to keep them invested. Certain smaller aspects of the game also wear thin after a while. The fox will shake itself dry after being submerged in water when you guide it back to land. It's a charming personal touch the first few times you see it, but if you're stuck on a puzzle where you have to go in and out of the water a bunch of times, it gets old fast. And while the game's environments are beautifully rendered, they're not always well designed. I would constantly find small areas that the fox should definitely have been able to fit through, but the game arbitrarily blocked access because the puzzle wanted me to enter through a certain door rather than a side window. But why put a hole in the wall 5 times wider and taller than the fox at ground level, which I can jump up to, if you don't want a door there? It's not that I didn't like the puzzles in general, but I have to question what these false passages were even doing in the game. So, obviously, the game isn't perfect, but while I had some small problems with it, the good news is that even though it felt like there was a lot of padding, Spirit of the North isn't an exceptionally long game, so any problems I encountered were pretty short-lived. Perhaps more attention could have been paid to balancing out the puzzle elements with exploration, or maybe just filling the existing world with more activities, but it's hard to say the game doesn't leave a good impression. It's absolutely stunning enough to be worth experiencing despite its flaws, but unfortunately those flaws are constant and consistent throughout the game. So while the game gets a perfect 10 for visual quality, we're giving the game a 7 overall. Thank you guys so much for checking out our first video review. I hope it wasn't too painfully boring. Please feel encouraged to leave feedback either here on YouTube or on any of our social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it, even if you didn't care for the video. We're desperate for views. It's the only way we feel loved. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to play with power.
JP Switch Mania.